Hold on.
Okay. So let me see if I can stop it. Oh no, we're now streaming. So welcome in everyone. I love it that Andrea is like, I'm sorry, but I really need to straighten the curtain up because it's freaking me out. And you're live and we
And
can
I'm
see.
just, yes, I'm live and I'm live and I'm taking care of my curtains in the background and, you
Well,
know,
yeah, I couldn't. I was already, at the bottom, and you were like, "No, it's freaking me out. I need to tend to my curtains." Like, of course you do. I perfectly know.
my OCD was kicking in big time.
You know, when on planes, and if I got like someone seated close to me, and it's something that my kids like just kid for that all the time. But like when the passenger close to me, like close their eyes, I just straighten up the little closure of the table. I'm like, and my kids are like, you're insane. And I'm like, no, no, it's just my trouble. It's so much better now. And they're like,
Yes,
you're crazy.
I
Anyway,
totally get it. I totally get it.
so weird parenting and what we expose our children to. That's where we're going. No, I'm kidding. But
Exactly. That's where we're heading anyway.
exactly, without even trying too hard. So how does it get even better?
Yes.
Being weirdly asked you, and how does it get even better? So
How does it?
So anyway, welcome in, Andrea. I'm really happy
Thank
that
you
we
so much.
we could manage to be on this conversation together.
Yes, and I'm
So
grateful for you for inviting me to this conversation. And it's something that has been in my universe, of course, since I am a dad for many years. And so it's great to actually bring it up many years later and actually look at it, especially with the tools that I did not have at that point.
yeah, well, that's actually my first question. I really wanted to ask you, how was your pregnancy experience? Because it is so often a question that we solely ask to the women that experience the body transformation. But heck,
Yeah,
it is a shared experience. Only
it
thing is,
is.
it isn't voiced very much for dads. And I really wanted
Yeah.
to just invite some light and information and empowerment
Yes.
for
Yes.
dads and for couples, for parenting, for
Yeah.
all of that follows. So please go ahead. How was your
Well,
experience? And
Well, I mean, in the beginning, the actual pregnancy was actually wonderful because my wife at the time, the mother of my child, was developing the belly, and I thought it was really beautiful. And when you start feeling the first feet and hands pushing through the belly, it's yummy, and that was a really nice and nurturing experience until we got closer and closer to the actual birth. Because then I had the very interesting point of view that I had to join these dad to be groups in Sweden. I was in Sweden, and it was horrific.
what
It
is?
was really
Can I ask you
wow.
what is the dads to be group? I am curious. I what is it?
It's a bunch of guys that are soon to be dads, and some of them already have kids, and some of them it's the first experience, like it was for me. And it's mainly like it's supposed to be like a support group for dads. This is Sweden we're talking about. It's like I don't even know if it exists in Italy or anywhere else. And so we would meet, and they would basically what was projected as was a lot of projections, expectations, judgments, separations, rejections, all of that. And I
I'm
was
I'm amazed both at the efficiency of the system that makes it so that you have like a support group and of the fucked up that you have a support that really doesn't support but like disempower you group.
completely. I
Jesus
was there,
Christ.
but we were supposed to meet once a week until the pregnancies, I mean, the births. And so I had like several weeks left to go. I went twice, and then and they were meeting like just like the mums do after they get the babies. I don't know what it's like anywhere else in the world, but in Sweden you have cafes that are almost just for mums because they invade the whole place with prams, so you just can't get into the cafe, and they
Yeah.
should meet there talking about I don't know what. So the dads were trying to do something similar even before the birth. So they were meeting, and it was like, first of all, I cannot relate to other men in general or other people in general, basically. So to be with this,
Exactly. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because I love that there is this commonality that is supposed to like I don't know, assist you or encourage you. And
Yeah,
but sometimes you're just so freaking different that you're like, I don't like people to start with, and I'm not sure I want to talk. I want to be projected everyone else's reality to finish with. So thank you and no thank you. But see, I mean,
exactly.
it is. I mean, the idea is really cool. I guess that
The
you
idea
know,
is cool if you buy into stratifications, if you buy into all these things that you have to belong to a certain group and whatever, when you actually know that you don't belong anywhere.
I know for X-Men it must be so hard. You must beat the shit out of yourself. Be like, oh my gosh, I don't fit in another group yet. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was torture. And this is way before I got the tools of access. So it was really horrible. I went to the second meeting. I came home really like almost suffocating. And I went to the mother of my child and I said, I'm not going to these groups anymore. I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to go with the flow and see what shows up, basically.
I love it. It's like, yeah, thank you. I'm having my reality.
Yeah.
Beautiful effort, but nah, not
No.
working.
So, I spend the rest of the time, and we're getting closer and closer to the birth. I spend my time actually, looking at, I guess, like most dads and mums, looking at things to get for our new baby, and you know, finding things and just looking forward to what was about to come, basically. And I was very excited at that point. And the other thing that was not so yummy in that period is that I was working a hell of a lot, as usual, and my work requires a lot of travel all over the world. Is there a bomb about to explode?
I'm not sure. You keep on talking. Let's see. It might
Let's
as
see.
well be.
So I was traveling and working a lot, and that's when the separation between me and my ex-wife actually started to happen, because she felt that I was not there enough, and I was trying to be there as much as possible. And also I had the point of view that if I don't do this, my family's going to starve and blah, all those things that shows up in those moments when you don't have the tools. So I was doing actually the best that I could for the family, for the baby, for my wife at the time, for everybody, but it was not really appreciated, and that's what actually started the separation eventually.
Wow.
Um,
Well, it is also, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It is also like something that is heavily projected on father to be the breadwinner in so many cultures
yes,
and society, which is not necessarily what happens in all the couples, but like
yeah,
it is something that you're supposed to kind of stress. And it is interesting how they project that stressing is kind of part of the preparation or the
yeah,
welcoming project of the
yeah,
baby, when maybe you have other choices as well.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
because I
else is
mean,
possible there?
what else is possible? Because I mean, for me, the only level of stress was actually that stress being projected at me, mainly also by my ex-wife, of you're not here enough. And I was like, well, I can be here and cuddle up all day long and whatever, but soon we're not going to have, we need to live, we need to pay the rent, we need to pay the bills, we need to, you know take care of each other and whatever. And this is my way of taking care of all of us, so, but that was not really, so there's always that confusion of, brought up by the expectations, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. I'm really intrigued because well, Italy, well, I have never been pregnant in Italy fully because the dad of my kids is Argentinian, so I've been traveling and I was elsewhere most of the time. But it is interesting how organization is supposed to be well, order rather than organization. It's something
yeah,
that is supposed to make your life easier, and sometimes it just doesn't allow you to go with the flow of whatever is required in that moment. And
yeah,
also, and just this is relationship wise, I find that a very clear I call it instruction manual, but like the things that you are that you can trust yourself that you will choose. Like for example, if I'm sleepy, I'm gonna be very mean, and it's gonna be very difficult to have a conversation with me because my
yeah,
only focus is gonna be bed. I need to go to bed.
exactly.
Like it's not working. You might as well talk to the wall because
Yeah,
you want to have a conversation with me. So just
yeah,
having the clarity of like, I don't know, maybe like I require cuddles, or I require you to admire me, or I require you to whatever, take pictures at me since you're a photographer, or whatever it is, that when you have clarity with with your, you know, basic needs being met, then it gets much easier, because then maybe you could have worked all you wanted, but you required to just, you know, proceed to a couple of steps when you got home, and that would have.
Yeah, and I mean that way as well. I mean, I was being still, you know, everything that I could be when I was at home, you know, cooking and going to do the shopping and taking care of my wife at the time and taking care of the home, and doing all those things almost, you know, more than I used to even before, to compensate for the time that I was away. Also because my ex-wife and I used to travel, and we used to work together. So there was also this thing that she knew what my life was like when I was abroad, and it was a beautiful life. I mean, I was staying in beautiful places and, you know, having fantastic experiences and whatever. So there was also that kind of frustration from her side of like, shit, I would have been on that trip right now. You know, could have enjoyed that white beach right now with the palm trees. That bastard is there. And I'm here suffering with the pregnancy, when in actual fact, yes, I was in those places, but I was there to earn the money to actually support the family and show, you know, be the contribution that I could be, and also being the contribution that I could be when I was at home. And is that lack of clarity well, it's not even lack of clarity, it's just refusing to actually see what is. And that.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So, and that refusal of seeing what actually is actually covered, I think, by the expectations that we put in place, because that's the only thing that was covering her universe, because she was seeing what I was doing, what I was being, but all that was covered by like, yes, but you should be here even more, and erased by the fact that, you know, all the practical things, basically. Yeah.
Well, I'm actually really curious on how. I stated it before. This lifetime, as you can see, I'm a woman, so I got to be pregnant and have my body transform and just like give birth to my baby and stuff, etc. So I was not in the dad's position, but I was giving it a kind of a reflection in the previous day regarding how, in a way, frustrating it would have been for me to be a dad rather than a mom, on being who I am right now. You know, might have been different, but like I just tried to imagine how I would have liked to, you know, take on me the body change rather than have someone go through that, you know, for me as well, in a way, because it's something that you do together, and then a person bear the body changing, and then you do too, you know, you are part of it. And this thing that you were mentioning right now, so the frustration that mother often, you know, go through, it's something that I can, I don't know, I can imagine the thing that happens, because the couple is changing, and also the possibility to move is changing. I remember that with my last son, I went hiking in Turkey on an adventure trip, like at the brink of the 6 months. So I came back the last day that I could come back with my permit. And I was like, really being like, no, I'm not pregnant. I'm just, you know, just chubby girl, you know, whatever. Be like, but I had my permit because they have to check it, you know, sometimes. I was, you know, going on a wild adventure right before I could not fly anymore. But I know that many people also buy into the projection of being very cautious, or for various health reasons, they need to be a little bit more still and not moving a lot. And I really cannot imagine how I would have handled that as a dad in my relationship to, you know, before being very, I don't know, adventurous, on the move, etc., etc. And then one of us needs to stay a little bit more quiet. How?
It's this thing that we're not, I mean, as dads, I mean, for the mother side, yes, you have the physical change, you have all those things, you know that you could be going through a pretty difficult time with pain and difficulty moving and all this stuff, which my ex-wife was actually going through in the end of the pregnancy. So that was my frustration also from my side of, well, I have said yes to these jobs I cannot cancel. I cannot, you know, I have to be there and whatever. And I also wish I could actually be there. But also I had the reassurance that somehow, okay, it's not the same as having me there, but she had her mother, her father, her brothers in towns and her friends. So I knew that she was taken care of anyhow. So I was kind of relying on that. But obviously there was, again, back to the projections and expectations of actually me having to be there. And it's this thing that I think, rather than dads meeting up and complaining and projecting at each other and trying to be the support group that they're not, it's more those kind of conversations that should be had. And also the one thing that is really important in these cases is actually allowance from both sides, a hell of a lot more allowance than ever before in any situation. You know, allowance for me as a dad to have, you know, the mother of my child to go through funky moods and whatever, change of hormones and all those things. Yes, more allowance for that. Allowance for the fact that she is frustrated that I'm not there as much. And actually, with that allowance, convey the information with a different energy, because I realized many years later that you can say the same words with a different energy and they mean something completely different. So, you know, one thing is like, hey, yes, but I have to, you know, try to do this job because otherwise, that's one energy. Another energy is like, hey, I totally get you. I get you. I get where you're at. I would love to be there. There's nothing more in the world that I would love to do. And my contribution, the way that I can contribute really right now, is to actually do this. And I hope you get that. I hope it's okay with you. You know, it's a completely different energy. And it's this. It's really this, that the kind of information that is missing out there for mums and dads to be. Because I notice how we think that we're saying something, but just because of the energy that we're being when we say it, we're actually conveying totally an opposite message.
Totally.
And that is where conflict starts. That's where separation starts. That's where misunderstanding starts and all of that. And the energy of what we say is, or rather what we be, is way, way more important of the words that we say.
Totally, totally. I was, you know, wondering, you were talking before about like preparing and kind of creating a welcoming surrounding for the baby to arrive, but also for the mother and also for the father. I remember that my mom, when I was expecting all of my kids, she was telling me, and all the times, because I don't know why, it's almost as if she forgot and then was telling me, she was like, when I was expecting you, and she's a doctor, so she had to work until like the very, very last moment. And she was like, when I finally got home, I started cooking and my mom, she's not a big cook or something, but she was like, I started cooking like a crazy lady because I wanted to be able to, you know, pull something out of the freezer and dump it in the oven and not have to prepare anything, but rather have, I don't know, whatever it is, you know, something that was cooked already and not having to worry about it because she doesn't like it as much. She's a good cook, but she doesn't like to spend the time in the kitchen. And so this was a way that she was, let's say, preparing. But like what I noticed a lot also when you were talking is the urgency and kind of like the necessity to be extra efficient, extra performative in the months before, so then when the baby comes, you can then relax. And sometimes this is a way how this is a phenomenal modality for us to kick ourselves out of the equation and into this reality and be like, oh my gosh, and the pram and there are all shades of insanity. I remember a friend that was pregnant, and she was completely crazy, but she was like, you know, the only thing I care about, and I was like, okay, it's going to be obvious. It's going to be that the baby's healthy. It's like, of course, that's all we care about, all of us, you know, sure.
Exactly.
And then she was like, no, the only thing that I care about is that my boyfriend will bring me flowers at the hospital. And I was like, girl.
Wow.
I was like, really? Like, and I was like, I don't know if that's gonna be all you care about, you know, when you just give birth, you're gonna have different priorities, maybe. I don't know.
Just slightly.
But there are all shades of insanities, like really.
Yeah, completely. Yes.
Like when people get married and it's like, oh my gosh, the shade of the napkins, and you're like, I don't know, and maybe you're like, I don't know, they're going to be napkins at one point or another, we're going to get them, you know, it's more like, you know.
Yeah, and thank you for addressing that, because I mean, my first wedding before, you know, having the tools of access, it was very stressful. It was all these things of napkins and invitations and all these things. It was like so much stress around the whole thing. But my second marriage, on the other hand, everybody was projecting all this stress at us, but it was so much ease. It was so easy. I mean, everything would just like happened, and it was fun and joy and, you know, expansive. So to the level that the place where we actually had the wedding forgot to send us the invoice. So we actually had to remind them 1 month later, calling and saying, "Hey guys, you did not send us the invoice. If you wouldn't mind sending it." They said, "Oh, sorry. Yeah, we'll send it." When we received the invoice, it was half the price than what they actually told us before.
Wow.
And I was like, how does it get any better than this?
Okay.
Just pay. Yeah, and it's really the
gosh.
energy that you be that creates, you know, basically your point of view creates your reality. Basically that little thing.
Yes. Yeah, that little thing. But really the fantasy and the insanity and as you were mentioning, your projection about what a successful birth, what a successful pregnancy, what a successful couple is. Oh my gosh, everybody and their mother as one. And
Yeah.
it is required a level of presence and also allowance toward yourself and
Yes.
everything you're going through that is off the chart. And actually it seems off the chart, but with the access tool you get a chance to practice and practice
Yes.
and practice. So you
And
get
that's,
better.
yes. And one tip for those of you watching, listening, whatever, that have the access tools already or have access to the access tools, is that the tools are there to be used. It's not that you use them once and then your life is solved. No, you have to use them all the fucking time.
Exactly. And you don't have, I'm gonna add that because I say it all the time. And you don't, it's not another excuse to beat yourself up and to judge you. It's like,
Exactly.
oh my gosh, I haven't said the mantra 10 times, you know, when I wake up and 10 times before to go to sleep. They're a tool. So please use them, apply them. And it's like a ladle or I don't know, a fork. You use them in some area and in some other they won't read. And it's also
Exactly.
fine. Or they won't read as well because they always read. They're like this phenomenal thing that always works. Really, let's say that.
Yeah.
But still, there are gonna be some magic combos that works magic for you, and you're like, oh
Exactly.
my gosh, this is changing dynamically things. But yeah. So
yeah, and I mean the thing is that, you know, it's not that it is a magic wand, you know, the clearing statement, it is a magic wand, sure, but it's not that it's going to fix the rest of your life. You can actually get on with your life, and life is made of changes, and that's the beauty of life, the experience, the adventure of life is that it's always changing or whatever. And yes, very often things will show up in a completely different way than what you thought, you know. And story of my life right now, you know, I never thought that I would be, I'm not going to go into that, but I never thought that I would be where I am now in my life if you asked me 2.5 months ago. I mean, completely different. It's like, wow, shit. Okay, so now what? You know, and I still go into, and I'm saying this because I'm addressing the self-judgment spiral that you started to talk about. So, and I go into the thing of starting to judge the crap out of myself because why am I feeling so heavy? Why am I not as excited about this change and seeing the possibilities rather than going into the crunchiness of it? And that's where the tools come in. So it's not that you solve all your life, you're not going to go into the crunchiness. No, you still have this thing called the mind that is actually not you, is thoughts, feelings, and emotions that belong to everybody else except for you, that you still have. And what will it take to actually be completely out of mind so that we actually, you know, be with our true being, our knowing being, perceiving, and receiving that we truly be? That, you know.
yes. You know, there was I think her name is Elizabeth Gilbert. It's the
Oh,
author
she's
of
wonderful.
I know. And there's
Oh,
this book, and in this book that she wrote after Eat, Pray, and Love, which was this big success in the movie.
Big Magic.
Yeah, you read it?
I love it several times. I love it.
And there is this chapter where she says, you know, everybody was projecting on me that, you know, Eat, Pray, and Love was the thing that I accomplished in my life. And so, and she was like, I loved other pieces I wrote better. And I know that I like to write. So I didn't want to retire from writing because that's what I enjoy. And so she was saying, but there was these constant, like, thoughts that would come into her mind of like, that's it. Your career is done. Everything from this point on, you know, not as good, etc. And so she said, the thing that I trained myself to was to allow myself to have these thoughts and these things, but they were in the passenger seat of me driving forward in my life, and they couldn't choose the music. They couldn't choose if the windows were up or down. They couldn't choose the direction. Hell no. And so I loved it because she so beautifully put it in, like, in an image of like, I'm keeping on, and even though I don't really know where exactly I'm driving toward, but I am moving on into creating the life and the future that I like to have, and that I like to be available on this planet. And even though the subjudgment or the doubt or whatever other distraction we use to keep ourselves mind fucking ourselves is not allowed to have a saying in where I steer my life. And so it is also training. It takes a bit of a...
It is training. And it's funny you should mention the driver's seat and the passenger seat, because I actually made a post last night without knowing that you would, about this. And it's a lot of videos, small clips that I found on my phone about me driving different cars. And I just wrote, when you realize you have always been in the driver's seat of your life, you finally found an exciting and beautiful drive that took you through the most astonishing and varied sceneries in the most fun cars with the most wonderful co-travelers, and then you took a few turns for no reason that took you on such bumpy roads that most of the people in your car had to jump off so as not to throw up. And then it goes on. So it's really this thing, like, I thought before writing that, I thought that I had been in the passenger seat of my life, when in actual fact, yes, I was in the driver's seat. It's just that I was taking these turns just because I could. That's all.
Yeah.
And some people that were the passengers or co-drivers or whatever you want to call them were about to throw up. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And it's really that acknowledgement of, yes, you are in the driver's seat. No matter what you choose, you are actually in the driver's seat. So you're going to let your car crash, or you're actually going to try and do something with it.
And actually, your car might feel like a spaceship to someone else, so they might not be like, they'll be like,
exactly,
let me out, I cannot handle that. And it's going to be like, okay, thank you for sharing the ride, bye.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly. And how many of us do actually choose rocket ships and not Fiat Cinquecentos? And you expect people to actually withstand the G-force that you're accustomed to, and actually gets you excited when they just throw up just at the thought of it.
Exactly. And they're like, are you going to drive this? And you're going to be like, yeah. It's my mutating spaceship pink, and now it's green. And you're like, yeah, let's go. They're like, no.
Exactly.
Actually, and we're kind of close to the closing, but I really wanted to ask you, so what is a dad after birth? That was the topic. We have talked about so much, but like...
Yes. Well, a dad, for me at least, I'm just purely talking my perspective, my experience. So please, dads to be, do not take this as a curse or a promise or whatever. It's just my personal experience. I was so much looking forward to this, and the birth and seeing my son being born, and the whole thing for me was extremely beautiful. And I was so fucking grateful. And it was actually me that had asked to have a child. My wife was not actually interested in the beginning, and so I had been asking for it, and then we actually chose together, yes, let's do this. So I was super happy, super joyful, and I could see how all the preparations before the birth were actually coming to fruition, so I could actually be there and take care of both the baby and the mom finally for a while. And then the baby came, and the only thing that he wanted, as babies do, was to eat, sleep, and poo. That's what they do. So my role was limited to just cleaning up the poo and the nappies, basically, because when he was awake, he was either eating or pooing, and at that age, they don't really care to play. When they're that tiny, they don't care to play. So, and when he's awake, he's on his mum. So, okay, I get it. So then I can finally cuddle up to the mum. No, she does not want to be touched, because she's touched by the baby all the time and she's tired and whatever. So she does not want to have you anywhere near her. So as a dad, I was like, is this it? And it's really funny, because it's not really the practicality that I'm talking about. There's something shifted energetically. It's almost as if the whole universe actually changed shape. The whole world changed shape. My whole body changed shape. And I really seriously did not know what the fuck I was doing, where the fuck I was, who the fuck I was, and who these people were in my life that, yes, I adored, but I didn't really have the connection that I thought I would have. So I was really like spaced out for a good couple of months.
Mm.
And yeah, so it was a bit weird. And had I had the access tools, it would have been way more ease.
Mm.
That is for sure.
I was wondering regarding that if there and I mean I can totally relate in a different way, but I can totally relate to the like, oh hell, you know, like what has happened kind of mood where you're like,
Yeah.
whose life is that? And I never, I mean, I had the luck and also the unique bit experience of being on my own for the
Yeah.
pregnancy and the birth and blah blah. But it was great because I had a much of people projecting their stuff on me, so it was like, you know, baby and I, we're a team. Let's go. You know, what
Yeah.
are we up to? You know.
Yeah.
But so if you could give a tool or a question to any dad or man that is having this experience or had this experience, what would
Yes. There's one tool and it's magnificent.
Go for it.
Who does it belong to? Because saying all that I said just now about the afterbirth, if I had and used that tool, I would have just had space because I was actually buying into everybody else's points of views, not just my wife all the time, not of her family, but of everybody around us.
Oh, yeah.
And just that little tool, who does it belong to? Return to sender with consciousness attached, times a godzillion, and let go of that. And then allowance. Again, this thing of allowance and this gifting and receiving and shifting the energy. As a photographer, I have big classes for photographers as well. And the one thing that I keep on talking about is that you change your point of view and you change your reality. And it's so true. So first of all, return to sender. Who does it belong to? That one little tool that we tend to forget. Who does it belong to? And then space, allowance, relaxation, gifting, and receiving. Basically that.
Yes, thank you so much. And yeah, really, like, I mean, some things we don't even, like, we don't think, we cannot compute how we perceive so out in our universe. But like when you go through new experiences as well, you get new information. So by becoming a dad, even the moment when, I don't know, you see the little line on the test and you're like, oh, like this is happening, you know, and you choose to keep on going, then you get in tune with all the people that had that experience, that will have that experience, that had this experience. So you're like, your awareness goes like,
totally.
And you're really required to be on top of your game, and rather than buying into anyone and everyone else.
Exactly.
Okay. What else?
Yeah. I just would like to do a little add-on here for those people that are watching that maybe do not know of the access tools. And the thing is that we are all so aware, whether we acknowledge it or not, we are so aware. We're more aware than our iPhones or smartphones. You know, we pick up all the signals of everybody around us and everything around us, and we think that it's ours. Well, it's not. It's not. That is where who does it belong to comes to. We are acknowledging that those thoughts, feelings, and emotions are actually not yours, and you don't have to buy into them. You can just go in like, interesting point of view. I have this point of view, interesting point of view. They have this point of view. There's another tool. And one question you could ask is, how does it get any better than this? No matter what shows up, and what else is possible now?
I love it. Your face lighted up. You were like, whoa.
Yes.
So thank you so much. I'm super grateful that you managed to come today and actually show us this possibility of space that is available, and whatever your experience has been, what else is possible now, and what if choosing that now could also morph the past into something where you want to stay here.
And it has. Me having the tools now has actually completely shifted both the relationship with my son and the relationship with his mum, where we had not spoken for 10 years after the divorce, and now we're great friends. You know, so please use the tools. Please use the tools.
Heck yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. We're going to put in the comments.
Thank you, Chiara.
In the playlist your website and all your upcoming magic so people can find you.
Yes.
And thank you so much again.
Thank you so much, Chiara. I adore you. Ciao. Bye-bye. Ciao. Bye. Bye.